This is the Wise Guy Radio Show, a podcast dedicated to the education and advancement of today's artists in the world of glass. My goal is to share an understanding of simple business principles and relationship development that you, the artist, can implement now. Starting with good habits and a solid foundation, you can grow not only as an artist, but also an artistic entrepreneur. Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show.
You're listening to the Wise Guy Radio Show.
This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by Mountain Glass Arts. For the month of October 2016, Mountain Glass is offering their Boros sale, shot, rod, and tube at 35% off. Just enter the code SHOT at checkout. That's SCHOTT at checkout. And for all you soft glass nerds, they're offering their COE 104 sale, jewelry making essentials, 25% off. Just put in the code JEWELRY, that's JEWELRY at checkout for 25% off. And for all your questions, comments, or concerns, just go to mountainglass.com. That's mountainglass.com. This episode is also brought to us by Glass Roots. Now entering its 8th year, Glass Roots is designed for artists and distributors who wish to do wholesale business with shops and galleries. Located at the Monona Terrace Convention Center in Madison, Wisconsin, Glass Roots showcases the works of over 40 vendors consisting of raw material suppliers, functional and non-functional art, and charitable glass organizations. To stay up to date with Glass Roots, just go to glassrootsartshow.com. That's glassrootsartshow.com. Hey. Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show, episode number 132. This is Jay Michael, your host, and thank you so much for tuning in today. Today's discussion is all about repetitive strain injuries and how to take care of ourselves. This time of year, I tend to deal with hand cramps and numbness and shoulder pains and neck pains and all kind of stuff from this fun year of busting my ass, as I'm sure you do too, as also if you are been behind the torch or just doing anything repetitively for 10 years plus. It's very important for us to take care of our bodies and maintain it. And this year is actually the first year, really, in my glass career where I'm in the best shape of my life. I've down 35 pounds since the end of last February. And I definitely feel different, lighter in a sense, and a little stronger, and my stamina's there. But I'm still dealing with some numbness and stuff, and mainly due to tension in my shoulders and my neck and my forearms. Just due to the repetitive motion, and also some arthritis in my hands, but mainly just from the tightness in my muscles and joints and tendons that all really combine and are part of each other. You know, if your neck muscles are tight and your shoulder muscles are tight, they tend to lead into your biceps and your forearms, which then tend to lead into your hands and tendons, which then makes it hard to work sometimes. And lately myself, I've been having to do a lot of stretching and what have you. And typically I get a massage once a month. Just lately with my crazy schedule, I just haven't had a chance to stop and go schedule an appointment for a massage. And I am way overdue. Hopefully going to get one done here before Thanksgiving, as this is being recorded here at the end of October already, which is unbelievable. But anyways, I want to share a link for you. I'm going to put it on the show notes as well. A massage therapist named Ian Harvey. His YouTube channel is called Massage Sloth. His YouTube channel is really dedicated for the masseuse, but a lot of the comments I found under this particular video that I found were from people that were professional drummers, bartenders, different types of jobs, not just in massage therapy, and including ourselves. And this massage that he has you do is all about really helping out your thumb. Myself personally, I've been dealing with some pain in my the pad area and the joint of my left hand and my thumb. Now, I know some of it is from texting or using my phone in a certain way, and just, we're all going to have these crazy-ass looking hands when we're older, and especially the younger generations, from how we text on our phones. But it's also from the repetitive motion, and I'm right-handed dominantly, but when I was taught and got my foundation basically for glass, I was shown a lot of techniques from two different artists that were both left-handed. So most of my glass is done left-handed. My left hand is my prominent hand. My right hand is my detail hand. My left hand is my stability hand, which holds all the weight and stuff. And if I'm making a larger scale piece, my left hand is still dealing with all this weight. Whether I'm using a bench roller or not, it's still a lot of weight in my left hand. And I found this video the other day, and it was huge. It's really all about giving your thumb a vacation. And as we all know, this time of year, we don't have time to take time off to give our hands a rest. But if you continue through these phases, even if you don't give your hand a rest per se, even if it's just a day, which I've done here and there periodically, just the massage that he shows you and the way that you can soak your hand in cold water or use ice cubes for massaging your hand. It's crucial, and I did this on Sunday, just past Sunday, and I shit you not, the next day, I felt like I had no hand pain whatsoever. Now, here we are. This is Friday. I'm recording this before I head out to work, and I'm dealing with a little bit of thumb pain today, so I wanted to go ahead and just talk about this. And the initial recording that you're going to be hearing is from last year. It's from last January, when I did the same thing, same type of talk, some information about repetitive strain injury and what have you. But just really think about when you're working, think about your posture, think about when your hands or when your glass punty and your blowpipe in your hands are not parallel with your bench, if they're at an angle or what have you. Try and keep your head straight. I know myself, I have a habit of if whatever angle my hands are going to, my side of vision tends to stay parallel with my blowpipe and my punty. It's the craziest damn thing. But the habitual motion I've been doing for almost 20 years now, I have got a break. And I'm finding that the more I do it, the more I'm getting stiffness in my necks. And I remember seeing Jason Lee posted about 6 months ago a whole talk, just a write-up that he did on his page about proper body posture and mechanics. It's all about bench height, body mechanics, etc. Just making sure you stay hydrated, making sure you stretch, give your hands a break, like I was saying before. 15-hour days are fun, but try and break them up into 3-hour sessions if you can. Do like 3 5-hour sessions, obviously. That kind of stuff. So just some things to think about. It's really important. On another topic I wanted to discuss real quick, I'm not sure how many people saw this, but there was an article that was written recently. I need to bring this up real quick so I can give them the right props here. By Creative's Link, is I believe it's from medium.com, but I found it on Facebook. Rashawn Jones actually posted this. The article's headline is Operation Pipe Dreams 2.0, How Etsy and PayPal Raided American Glass Stores. And for the longest time, I've been seeing a lot of people selling the glass pipes on Etsy, and I know that Etsy has a very strict policy on selling glass pipes, but yet because there's so many glass artists out there, they're able to get through the cracks and behind the back doors and sell their glass pipes. Well, just recently, those that were selling them woke up to having their stores shut down. Not everybody, but a majority of glass artists, pipe makers that were selling their wares on Etsy were finding that they were having their stuff confiscated. I'm gonna have the link to this article in the show notes. It's not a super huge, long article, but it's good information and good things to think about. And just to remember that laws are laws, rules are set for their reasons. We don't always agree with it, and unfortunately, we have to follow along with these rules. Otherwise, like I know a lot of artists have had money taken from PayPal, thousands and thousands of dollars. Myself recently, I had a order I sent out, and I used a specific app invoicing company to send out an invoice to a smoke shop. And usually I don't put any details in my invoices, but in this one was a specific breakdown of everything they were getting. I sent out the invoice for payment. The payment was made, but the company rejected the payment, and then they sent me an email saying, we rejected your payment due to our policies against paraphernalia, tobacco laws, blah, blah, blah. It's a bunch of horse shit. So eventually we're going to have something out there for all of us. I know there's some things that were going on in the works with myself and another artist that we had been talking about for about 6 months or so, getting some things put together. And when it came down to it, besides life getting so busy, we really wanted to wait and see how the landscape was going to play out with all the laws changing. And may be a little too soon to jump on to getting a larger scale type of Etsy platform going, especially because of the cannabis laws, and we're dealing with platforms like Etsy and these big conglomerates like a PayPal that a lot of us use to receive money. What I will say, however, to potentially solve your problem is to get a really basic, simple website, even a web page for yourself. They're really easy to do. There's the Shopify's and there's Wix and different ones like that. But even just getting basic, you can GoDaddy has monthly SEO. You can get a domain name for $1, and then you can host it through Blurberry or through GoDaddy. There's a lot of companies out there you can host through. And you can set yourself up your own marketplace. I mean, really, you should have a website anyways. It's really affordable to have it and to use, and you can set up a basic catalog page on there. And you can use what's called WooCommerce, a plugin to set up a marketplace and shopping carts. It's really simple to do, but you got to make sure you follow the laws. Have it so that you have to be at least 18 and up to come into your site. Go around to other smoke shop or the other sites out there that sell glass pipes online and just, the whole best practices idea. Copy what the best companies out there are doing. until you can do your own thing. And even still, copy them. Who gives a shit? If there's somebody who's doing something right and they're successful, why not follow in their line? I'm not saying copy artwork. I'm just saying if you want to follow a business practice, look at companies out there that are doing it right. I see a lot of big companies out there that don't have any kind of legal thing saying when you go to their site, well, how old are you? If you go to AmericanHelix.com, you'll see as soon as you go to AmericanHelix.com site, it pops up. It says, warning, are you 18 and up? Blah, blah, blah. Check that shit out. Make sure you're legal. It's a good way to simplify yourself. It's a good way to put a place to send your people to. You can use your social platforms to promote it, and all that stuff. And then also, recently, Instagram also just launched their Instagram business page program where you can actually turn your Instagram page into a business page, which gets you way more exposure. Only problem is that if you're a pipe maker, I don't recommend it because of the fact that you have to have a public account to have an Instagram business page. Myself personally, my account's private. The podcast page is not, which I'm going to be turning that into a business page later today. But my personal account is, and it's due to not wanting specific people to come to my site because of the legalities that are out there. So just some things to think about. Get yourself a website. It's super affordable. You can even pay for an entire year's worth of hosting. It's like $35 or $40 or $120, whatever the hell it is. It's going to save you the heartache and headaches of having to deal with something like waking up one day and all of a sudden all your funds that you had in your PayPal are seized because they come to find out that you're a pipe maker. It's a bullshit. I know it sucks, but we got to cover our ass. We have families to feed sometimes. Some of us do, and it's our livelihood. So cover your ass. And what else? Let me see here. Yeah, that covers everything. So enjoy episode 132. Again, this is a replay of a episode I did last January. It's all about repetitive strain issues and carpal tunnel. And in the carpal tunnel talk, I get into some of the details that I did some research on that even if you do repetitive motion work, it doesn't mean you're going to get carpal tunnel. Some of the research I've been finding is that typically those that get carpal tunnel are just genetically predisposed to get carpal tunnel. For whatever reason, your body is designed a specific way that if you do this thing over and over and over and over again, you are more likely to have inflammation in your wrists and your joints compared to, say, your friend next to you who's been doing this for 30 years and has very minimal pain. It's very strange. We're all individual. We all know this. Our bodies are also the same way. But talk to your family. Talk about family history, which is also important anyways for medical stuff. But talk about anybody that you know in your family that may have had carpal tunnel issues, has a job that they type or work on a computer or they use their hands to work with. Ask how they're doing. Even if it's an aunt or uncle, it's still genetics, it's still there. I mean, obviously, if it's an uncle that's been married to your aunt who is your mom's sister, obviously that person is not going to do anything for you. But talk to your blood. They'll know. They'll help you out. Take care of yourself. Stay hydrated. Proper body mechanics. Make sure your bench is the right height. Just focus and pay attention. And have a fucking fun time. That's what we all do this for. Besides making money and surviving and paying our bills and feeding our families, we just have a lot of damn fun. And if you want to have fun and make a living doing this for the rest of your life, then pay attention to these details. Go to this guy's website or his YouTube channel. Again, it's Massage Sloth. I will have a link in the show notes for that. It's a great little tutorial he has on how to massage your hands properly. A little bit of techniques and stuff. And I promise you it will help. Mine helped me immediately. I mean, literally, the next day, the results were incredible. So until next time, love you. Enjoy this episode, number 132, talking about repetitive strain injuries. And go to wiseguymedia.com if you have not yet gone to and subscribed. All of our podcast episodes, show notes, etc. are on there. And you can go to wiseguymedia.com/132 for this episode. This will be up on the website probably tomorrow morning, so I'm heading out to work here soon. So until next time, talk to you soon. Love you. Peace. All right, we are back. So just like I said before, I have personally been dealing with some issues with my pinkies, my left thumb, the palms of my hands. Wake up in the middle of the night with numbness in both my hands, whether it's my entire hands asleep, maybe just like my middle finger is asleep, or my hands are all cramped up and like all in a kind of a fist in a sense, just because of the cramping and arthritis I'm dealing with. Also, I deal with shoulder pain, my left shoulder especially, but my right shoulder every once in a while acts up due to an injury I had when I was younger as a kid, rollerblading. So there's all these little things that are coming up, but I know that my hands and my shoulder in particular are due to the almost 17 years now behind the torch of just production and doing big work and whatever else, on top of life in general. Having grown up playing baseball and sports as well, and repetitive motion with throwing baseballs and whatever, I'm sure that all adds up. But really, we're here to talk about the glass. So just knowing that, for first and foremost, the most important thing we can do to help prevent this type of stuff, which I want to talk about first, is by stretching, whether it's through yoga or a morning exercise or even just a before routine and after routine. It's just like in running or any kind of exercise. You always want to stretch before and after. So I believe it's the same way with glass blowing. I'm going to be putting up a couple of pictures with this post, and that little ding's my daughter sending me a text. I should have my volume off. But I'm going to be putting up a couple of pictures. What I like to use myself to stretch, which I'm trying to get into more of a better routine with it, is using a Frisbee. I play disc golf a lot, and disc golf I find helps to stretch me out as well. But I have a couple exercises that I use with using a Frisbee. I find it helps to get a nice symmetrical pull on my muscles in my lower back and my arms and shoulders and stuff. A lot of it goes back to baseball stretches I used to do when I pitched. But using a Frisbee really does help in terms of stretching out your shoulders, and then also like your obliques, your lats and your deltoids and all that stuff in your back as well. Because most of us that do this and have been doing this for a long time, we have tended to overdevelop certain muscles that people normally don't use a lot of, muscles in our shoulders and in our forearms. Part of my issue I do deal with that my massage therapist had told me a couple of years ago was that my forearm muscles, because of the rotation and that repetitive motion, has actually caused my forearms to get really tight, which then pinches off nerves and doesn't allow good tendon flow and blood flow and all that kind of stuff. So that's just another area in forearms, our shoulders, our backs, our lower backs. So posture, stretching, staying hydrated, all that kind of stuff, even like a good yoga routine or even just like a standard physical weightlifting routine here and there. But it does help kind of keep you limber also. Just kind of depends on what kind of physical attributes you're looking for. But the most important part, again, is avoiding repetitive muscle and injury, is to avoid repetitive strain injuries. So here's the definition that I have, and I've gone to Wikipedia, which isn't always the best places and outlets for truth, but I figured it would be a start. So the definition of RSI, or repetitive strain injury, according to Wikipedia, it is used as an umbrella term to refer to several discrete conditions that can be associated with repetitive tasks, forceful exertions, vibrations, mechanical compression, or sustained awkward positions. Examples of conditions that may sometimes be attributed to such cases include edema, tendinosis, tendinitis, carpal tunnel, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of other things, tennis elbow, trigger finger. I've heard some folks out there in the industry deal with that. We tend to not only constantly rotating and moving our hands, but we also tend to stand in awkward positions for a long period of time. So there's one test that I found was very interesting. It's called the Finkelstein's test. And this is for de Quervain's tendinitis, which is something that as I was reading through, could potentially be something that we are dealing with or could deal with, which then also can lead into carpal tunnel syndrome. There's different variations on how you go about testing this, and I found what they were talking about is basically you hold your hand out to a doctor like you're going to shake their hand, and then they grab your thumb and kind of pull your thumb towards them, away from you, and then down, so it kind of bends your wrist. And I guess that if you have a severe pain in your wrist up in the area of the tendon, that means that you have tendinitis in that particular tendon. There's another one that's called the Eichhoff's test. I think that's how you pronounce it. Where you more or less hold your thumb with all your fingers kind of balled up into a fist, and then you hold your arm out straight, and you try and pull your wrist down. And there's a tendon. That tendon runs up your forearm, and you will see if that hurts a lot. Now, I do it myself right now. It actually feels kind of good to stretch out, just to hold your hand out and grab your thumb and pull your wrist down. It's kind of interesting. It feels good as I'm doing this. But those are just a couple different tests. There's also different ones I do, whether it's ultrasound or x-rays for carpal tunnel and what have you. There's also all kind of different ways of helping this situation. There's like a cold laser therapy you can have done. There's different biofeedback, ultrasound therapy. There's general exercise has been shown to decrease the risk of developing RSI. Doctors sometimes recommend that RSI sufferers engage in specific strength training exercises. For example, to improve a sitting posture, they recommend that you modify your posture and your arm use, and that's part of our thing too. We deal with our arm use. And there's just referring to a picture. I'll have this link on the show notes for you guys as well. So now we're going to get into a little bit of the carpal tunnel syndrome, which I know is an area that we are all concerned about. And this is basically, the definition is that carpal tunnel syndrome is a medical condition in which the median nerve is compressed as it travels through the wrist at the carpal tunnel and causes pain, numbness, and tingling in the part of the hand that receives sensation from the median nerve. Which basically is, those don't know anatomy too much, but the hand is comprised of your metacarpals and then your phalanges, which are your actual finger bones. And at your wrist, from where your radius and ulna come in and attach to your hand or to your wrist, there are your little carpal tunnels and are your carpals, and they have little holes in the middle of the bones that blood flows through, nerves and tendons. In this particular area, and through the middle of all of that cluster of bones is where your main median nerve runs through. And if that area becomes inflamed, then they kind of squish together, which then they pinch off the nerve, which then leads to carpal tunnel syndrome. And it's kind of an issue some people deal with. It's definitely come a long ways in terms of medical surgery and stuff being done for it. I know my mother dealt with carpal tunnel due to being a nurse and doing stuff with her hands for years and years and years. And the doctors actually really were new to carpal tunnel when she had her surgery, and they kind of messed up and had long-term issues because of it. So, but it's just kind of neat where medical has gone to now. But anyway, so the part of the main symptoms of carpal tunnel is what they're saying is intermittent numbness of the thumb, index, and long middle fingers, and the radial side of the ring finger, which is the thumb side of your ring finger. So basically, if you look at your hand, like your right hand, for instance, your thumb, your pointer finger, your middle finger, and then the left side of your ring finger would be where you're having issues. The numbness often occurs at night with hypothesized reasons related to sleep position, such as the wrist being held flexed during sleep or sleeping on one side. It can be relieved by wearing a wrist splint that prevents flexion. And flexion is just, again, like making a fist or bending your hand down. Which is something I'm going to start doing myself, is wearing a wrist guard at night. It says that long-standing CTS leads to permanent nerve damage with constant numbness, atrophy of some of the muscles on the basically they're saying your thumb and pad muscles on your hands, and the weakness of the palmar abduction, which is basically you lose strength in your hand. It makes it difficult to open jars, to squeeze things very hard, which is not really good. Pain in carpal tunnel syndrome is primarily numbness that is so intense that it wakes one from sleep, which is what I deal with. Conservative treatments include the use of night splints and cortisone injection. The only scientifically established disease-modifying treatment is surgery to cut the transverse carpal ligament. Basically means that they have to cut your ligament to open up and help with the inflammation area, which sucks. Which has definitely gotten a lot better surgery-wise. So it talks about some of the work-related issues that we can deal with carpal tunnel. The international debate regarding the relationship between CTS, carpal tunnel syndrome, and repetitive motion and work is ongoing. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA, has adopted rules and regulations regarding cumulative trauma disorders. Occupational risk factors of repetitive tasks, force, posture, and vibration have been cited. The relationship between work and CTS is controversial in many locations. Work diagnosed with carpal tunnel syndromes are entitled to time off and compensation. Once again, which is why I would love to see our industry get a union or some kind of guild of some sort, because if we have representation, have like a national insurance plan of some sort we can all get on. These type of issues we can actually deal with and actually not cause us to go bankrupt because we have a $100,000 medical bill we can't afford because we don't have health insurance. Some of us out there that do have health insurance are very blessed and fortunate. There are ways to provide your own health insurance as well, but it can be expensive at times. Just something to kind of a side note there, just something to think about. Some speculate that carpal tunnel syndrome is provoked by repetitive movement and manipulation activities, and that the exposure can be cumulative, which means over a period of time. It also has been stated that symptoms are commonly exacerbated by forceful and repetitive use of the hand and wrists in industrial occupations, but it is unclear as to whether this refers to pain, which may not be due to carpal tunnel syndrome, or more typically numbness symptoms. So the way they basically go about finding a way whether or not you have carpal tunnel, there's no consensus. They're saying here is a combination of described symptoms, clinical findings, or electrophysiological testing can be used. CTS workup is the most common referral to the electrodiagnostic lab. All right, so now we can get into some areas of prevention Suggested healthy habits such as avoiding repetitive stress, work modification through use of ergonomic equipment, wrist rest, mouse pad, etc. Taking proper breaks, using keyboard alternatives. These are for those that type a lot. And have been proposed as methods to help prevent carpal tunnel syndrome. Suggested healthy habits such as avoiding repetitive stress, work modification through use of ergonomic equipment such as wrist rest and mouse pads, taking proper breaks, using keyboard alternatives such as digital pen, voice recognition, and dictation, and have been proposed as methods to help prevent carpal tunnel syndrome. The potential role of B vitamins in preventing or treating carpal tunnel syndrome has not been proven. There is little or no data to support the concept that activity adjustments prevent carpal tunnel syndrome. Stretches and isometric exercises will aid in prevention for persons at risk. Stretching before the activity and during breaks will aid in alleviating tension in the wrists. Place the hand firmly on a flat surface and gently pressing for a few seconds to stretch the wrist and fingers. An example for an isometric exercise of the wrist is done by clenching the fist tightly, releasing and fanning out fingers. None of these stretches or exercises should cause pain or discomfort. Biological factors such as genetic predispositions and arthropometic features have significantly stronger causal association with carpal tunnel syndrome than occupational environmental factors such as repetitive hand use and stressful manual activity. This suggests that carpal tunnel syndrome might not be preventable simply by avoiding certain activities or types of work activities. And then there's ways of treating it. Generally accepted treatments include physiotherapy, steroids, either orally or injected locally, splinting, and surgical release of the transverse carpal ligament. There is no or insufficient evidence for ultrasound, yoga, lasers, B6, and exercise therapy. Change in activity may include avoiding activities that worsen symptoms that may require changing work. The American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons recommends proceeding conservatively with a course of non-surgical therapies tried before release surgery is considered. Early surgery with carpal tunnel release is indicated where there is evidence of median nerve denervation or a person elects to proceed directly to surgical treatment. The treatment should be switched when the current treatment fails to resolve the symptoms within 2 to 7 weeks. The importance of wrist braces and splints in the carpal tunnel syndrome therapy is known, but many people are unwilling to use braces. The American Academy of Neurology recommended a non-invasive treatment for the CTS. At the beginning, a therapy using splints was indicated for light and moderate pathology. Current recommendations generally don't suggest immobilizing braces, but instead activity modification and non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs as initial therapy, followed by more aggressive options or specialist referral if symptoms do not improve. Many health professionals suggest that for the best results, one should wear braces at night and, if possible, during the activity, primarily causing stress in the wrists. So just some things to think about. I can get on and get more in depth about this. But I really want to just kind of cover this area and topic of carpal tunnel because it is, again, something very, very important for us to know about and to be concerned with. Again, prevention is number one. Stretch, whether yoga or just doing your own stretches yourself. Stay hydrated and keep mobile. If you do need to take breaks, I generally work a 3 or 4 hour shift at a time and then take a break for an hour just to stretch and dehydrate or rehydrate and eat, and that kind of stuff. So just some things to think about and get into the motion. And now what I want to tell you guys about too is something that I found on the market here locally that I used one about 2 weeks ago and just used a little bit of this stuff. And I wasn't sure if it was a placebo effect or what, so I went back again to try it again, and I found that this stuff actually worked really well. This stuff is made by a brand called Enchanted Sunshine. It's an Australian oil of eucalyptus, all natural pain relief. So the active ingredients are USP eucalyptus oil, grape seed oil, aloe vera, and jojoba or jojoba oil, however you want to pronounce it. Basically, ideally, what you do is just squirt a couple squirts in your hands, rub it in the areas that you feel are affected by your pain. It causes blood flow stimulation and actually helps to relieve pain. I'm going to start using it myself at night before I go to bed and actually put some socks on my hands to help not only keep my hands warm, maybe help keep this stuff active, but also to keep it from getting rubbed off into my pillow or something. I'm actually putting some on right now, and it actually has a nice little smell. What I've been doing is rubbing it, spraying it on my wrists, and then rubbing it on my wrist and then into my hands, and it seems to be pretty awesome. I'm going to be bringing these folks on to to the show here to have them on and talk about this product. You can go to their website, though. Their website is enchantedsunshine.com. That's ENCHANTED, sunshine.com. And I am not sponsored or affiliated with these guys whatsoever, but I do want to recommend this because it's something that I found helping me. It's anywhere from $20 to $40 for a bottle, depending on what size you get. The $30 bottle I find was probably the best bet because of how long it's supposed to last you. So there you guys go. I will have information on the show notes. Just click on the picture on the podcast. It'll flip around and show you all the show notes on there with links and what have you. And then also you guys can always go to wiseguyradio.com and subscribe to our newsletter. And also when you get signed up there, you'll get some exclusive content that I do not share on the show, as long as giveaways and also some fun stuff behind the scenes. And then don't forget, please, to share this show with your friends and family. If you are listening to this on iTunes, please subscribe to the show. It'll help make it so that you get the downloads easier. If you do download the show, it lets me know you did listen to it. I do not get to know if you listen to the show or not, just based on listens, which is kind of frustrating and for all of us podcasters out here that do this. But also, make sure you guys go check out Mountain Glass. And also, for those out there that have a retail store or an online store, and you want to purchase wholesale directly from Green Flash Glass, go to greenflashglass.com and get their stuff on board for your shops and get it in your doors. So other than that, guys, I hope this information helps out. This coming Friday, I will be doing our next Q&A. Please get your questions in. We have some good ones already lined up. I want you to please send your questions in to info@wiseguyradio.com. Don't forget that when you do this, I will definitely give you a shout-out. If you can please include your Instagram name on there so I can let people out there in the world know your Instagram. And thank you guys again for listening to the Wise Guy Radio Show. Love you guys. Take care, and take care of those wrists, shoulders, knees, and toes. Peace. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show. If you have any questions, comments, or remarks, please leave them in the show notes page area where it says comments. We'll see you soon. Have a wise night.
You're listening to the Wise Guy